Not only in one of the great sports of all times, Rosemary.
All right. I didn't hear what you said back there. That thing doesn't work.
What I wanted to say.
What'd you say? What'd he say?
He said that when they first built the stage, you held a hammer.
What else did he say?
What? No, I was saying that you started at the earliest age of any of us in show business. What?
What did he say? You're my friend. What did he say?
I said I did.
Show business longer than any of us.
And I, of course, didn't mean that. I meant that you started at an earlier possible age. And I wish that cat was here. We ever needed that big cat is about right now. Yes, a big cat about that big. No, but you started, well, you were only couldn't have been over 2.5, 3 at the most.
Yeah.
How about that? Okay, moving along. No, true.
True.
That's all I meant, Rosie. You know that. Now, we've known each other for a short time. 6, 7 weeks. And, but you were a child, you were a child performer when you were a child.
That's right.
Very young.
The legendary Rosemary, today on Pop Goes the Culture. Hi, I'm David Levin, and welcome to another Titanic episode of Pop Goes the Culture. Today, we continue our talk with Rosemary. And, you know, I love this interview. I asked one question and sat back for half an hour enjoying her talk. Today, we cover more of her encounters with Bugsy Segal in 1940s Vegas. You'll hear about her lunch with Al Capone. I guarantee you will learn things here you never knew before.
I met Virginia Hill. She was going to Paris. She said to me, "We love your act. We think you should lose a little weight, though." I said, "I'm going to lose a little weight in about 3 months. So, you know, don't worry about it." "Oh, I didn't know you were pregnant." She says, "I'm going to Paris. Is there anything you want?" And I said, "Yes, a christening dress for my daughter, for my baby." And she said, I said, "I want the prettiest christening dress you can find in Paris." She's okay. So now we finished the 2 weeks, and I'm sitting in the coffee shop with one of the singers in the show, and this man comes around, and he's handing out the first week's checks. And I look at my check, and there's $11 missing. And I said, "What the hell is that, $11? Couldn't think of anything. So I said, "Psst, mister," and this dancer, Tommy Wonder, he said, forget it. I said, "What do you mean forget it? It's $11. I want to know what happened to it. Can I see you a minute, please?" He comes over and says, "Yeah." I said, "There's $11 missing from my check." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I don't know. That's what I'm asking you. What do you need $11? I'll give you $11. But don't take it out of my check." He said, "Did you draw any money?" I said, "Who draws $11? This is ridiculous." I'll find out. I go back to the table, and this poor kid, he's white here. He said, "Do you know who that was?" I said, "No." He says, "Bugsy Segal." I said, "Oh, shit. Well, I guess you'll pick me up in an envelope, you know, from now on." He comes back and he says, "You were supposed to be here Monday night." I said, "I couldn't come in. There was no plane, and I wouldn't drive, you know." He said, "We had to confirm your room at the El Rancho. We took out $11 for the room." "Oh," I said, "Okay, fine." He said, "I'll get it back." I said, No, listen. As long as I know what it's for, forget it, you know. No, I'll get it. Please, don't go through any trouble. I don't care, $11. What the hell's $11? Forget it, you know. Go back to the table. I said, "Jesus, that's wonderful." I said, "I hope it's all right." Well, he had great respect for me for that. And I used to sit in the lounge, you know, and having a cup of tea in between shows. And he'd say, "You know how to play Baccarat?" I said, "I know all those things, you know. I got a great education." He said, "Why don't you go over and play some Baccarat?" And I said, I don't want to play baccarat. And he gave me $10,000. He said, go over there and play baccarat. He said, maybe you'll draw some people. I said, I'm not a shill. I'm a performer. You're not doing anything. You're sitting here having a cup of tea. Go play baccarat. Okay. Now that I know who he is, I sit down, and of course, when I play with anybody else's money, I win, you know. So I had $25,000. Now it's 5 of 12. I got a second show to do. I can't find this man. I don't know where he is. What am I going to do with the $25,000? I take it and I shove it in the air. I go and I do my show with an extra large bosom that night. And I come out after the show, and he's sitting over there. I said, here's your money. Don't ask me to do this again. I'm not a shill. I'm a performer. He said, I wasn't worried about you. I knew you'd be all right. Don't worry about it. I said, don't ask me to do that again. So that was that. And then when I left, he called me in his office. He says, we wanted to know how much we enjoyed having you here. You were just wonderful. You're a great performer. Want to thank you, and you're going to play here quite a bit. He said, I promise you. And gave me my check. Nothing extra, just my check. And I said, thank you very much, Mr. Segal, and I hope I see you soon again. And 2 weeks later, he was dead. So that was that. But I became the mob's baby. When I was at the Palace Theater in Chicago, Al Capone came backstage, saw my father, and he said, we want to take the kids to lunch. And he says, she does 4 shows a day. He says, it's all right, we'll get her back in time. He says, my wife wants to meet her and all this. We'll have a car pick you up tomorrow. Well, you know, you don't say no to these people, you know. So the next day, he came around with the car, and the guy came in, he says, Big Al was outside. Huh, okay. So we went in the car, and we went to Cicero, and we went into his house. And I had never seen such a house in my life. They had a dining room table that was from here to there, that sat 24 people, all matching chairs, no bridge chairs, all matching chairs. And Willie the Ice Pick, Joe Frschetti, Mimio Machete, Three Fingers Brown. Those are only a few that I remember. But they all were dying to see me and talk to me. And his wife, Anna, came over and she says, oh, we just love you, and a hug, and kiss, and a kiss. And he comes over to me and he says, from now on, I'm Uncle Al, and anything you want, you let me know. I said, okay. And we sat down and we had lunch, dinner, whatever the hell it was. And my father said, we got to get back to the theater. Okay, get back to the theater. He goes to my father and he says, don't worry about anything. She'll be all right. We'll watch over her. And you need anything, call. And that was it. I have a dinner ring that his wife gave me. I still have it. Those were big things in those days. There were dinner rings. They had like 3 stones in one thing. I still have it. So that, I became the kid. And because of that, I worked continually at the Copacabana, here, there, the Shapery, and I played the Flamingo on an average of 5 or 6 times a year.
Wow.
They were very good to me. Jesus, I'm only up to the 60s. Leave me alone. What do you want?
Cheap thrill. Let's talk about some of the television work.
Oh, finally.
I know, it's TV Land.
What is this, February now? I came out here, I worked Slapsy Maxie's. I did the Rudy Valley show. I did all the radio shows because everybody knew I was back in town. And I get a call. There was an act called the Wesson Brothers. And Dick Wesson, I met in the butcher shop one day. And he was doing the Bob Cummings show. And I said, Jesus, can't you get me on that show? I'd like to do that show. You know, give me a guest shot on that show. He says, let me see what I can do. And they called me. And I did the Bob Cummings show. And I did the Bob Cummings show for 3 years after that, thanks to Mr. Paul Henning, who was wonderful, and Mr. Cummings, who was just He taught me so much because I was really very ignorant about the camera, and he taught me so much. He said, "You're overacting." He said, "That's from doing stage work." He said, "You're projecting too much." He says, "You're working to a small camera. Remember that." He said, "Whenever you start overacting, I'm going to say Mickey Mouse, and you cut." I said, "Okay." So I would be doing a scene, and I'd get going, and he'd go, "Mickey Mouse," and I'd cut down, you know. Had wonderful people teaching me and helping me. I'm so grateful to so many actors, directors, producers, really great. Then I did, they called me in. It's a funny story. They called me in, I get a script, and it's Gunsmoke. And it's the part of Mrs. Munger, a 60-year-old woman. I'm a sharp 20 with the white gloves, adorable, you know. I said, they don't want me for this, you know. But I'll go in. So I go in, and the girl says, "Here's the script, it's the part of Mrs. Munger." And I go, "Not for me, this is really sawing wood, you know, no. But I'll go in." And so there was the casting man, and there was a director called John Rich, and a couple of other people. I think, I'm not going to get this. And I have a crazy mind anyway. I'll lower the voice even more, and I'll hulk it up, you know. So the casting man says, "Howdy, Mrs. Munger." And I went, "Howdy, Sheriff." And he says, "How you feeling?" I said, "Poorly, thank you." And the script said, "Poorly, thank you." I said, "Poorly, thank you." And he said, "That's enough." I said, "Thank you very much. See you all." And I start to go out. And John Rich comes over to me. He said, "Would you mind cutting your nails?" I said, "What?" He said, "Would you mind cutting your nails?" I said, "My nails?" He said, "I don't think a 60-year-old woman would have nails like that." I said, "You want me for this part?" He said, "I think you'd be great." And I'm in a cute little dress, and, you know. I said, "Okay." So I did the show, you know, and there was a scene in there where I'm supposed to, I have a house and brothers and something, and I have to give them goulash, you know. So they've all got lines. Well, to me, you don't serve goulash while somebody's doing a line because it distracts. So he says, "Well, we're not going to go over there," plop. Next guy, "And we're going to do this and do that," and I go plop. And the director says, "Cut." He says, "Come here." I said, "Oh, Jesus, what did I do?" He says, "If you do that scene like that," he said, "ain't nobody going to watch the show." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because you're doing comedy, and they're going to watch you. They ain't going to watch anybody else. Just give me a straight reading." I said, "I'm giving you a straight." "No," he said, "you're doing comedy. You're going to plop." I said, "I don't want to interfere on their lines." He said, "Interfere on their lines. I don't want a comedy thing here." Okay, go 10 years, 8 years later, he comes in to direct the Dick Van Dyke Show. And we come in and we hug and everything. And I said, he's the greatest director I've ever known. He was just wonderful to have that much faith in me, you know. And we are still today the best of friends. He's a brilliant, brilliant director.
I want to interview him too.
He really is. He's wonderful. He really is. When we did the Van Dyke Show, there were 5 people in the audience, and I had the script the first day, and I had the script, and I'm going, should I sit on this line, or should I stand, or should I walk? What? And I look up at him, and he's going. I said, "You mean to say there's 5 people in this scene and he knows I'm in trouble?" That's a director. So when the scene was over, I went over to him and I said, what was it? He says, "I know you were looking to sit down or stand up." I said, "How did you know?" He said, "I just know for the look on your face, you were concerned." He said, "I'd sit on the line." I said, "Well, I got news for you. You're my director from now on, you know." So that was on the Van Dyke. He did the Van Dyke Show, which was wonderful.
Tell me how the Van Dyke Show came about for you.
I've known Danny Thomas and Sheldon Leonard practically all my life. I opened for Danny Thomas at the Martinique when he was a big star in Chicago, and he was the great white hope of comedy for that year. And I opened for him at the Martinique in New York. And we became very good friends. His wife's name was Rosemarie, too, same thing. And he came into the club one night, just like in a fog, and I said, "What's the matter, Danny? Anything wrong?" He says, "I just did a benefit." I said, "You did a benefit? You're all hocked up about a benefit?" He says, "It was at the Winter Garden." He says, "The Winter Garden?" He says, I bent down and I kissed the stage. I said, "I hope you never change. That's a wonderful thing, you know." You see, I made a short when I was 3 years old, and it played the Winter Garden with the jazz singer. And it was the first all-talkie short, and it was playing with the jazz singer, which was half silent, half talk. Mr. Jolson wasn't too thrilled about that. He said he didn't like the idea that my short was all music and everything, and I sang 3 or 4 songs. And I have a tape of that show. It's, a friend of mine in Jersey got it for me. And it's a Vitaphone short, and it's called Baby Rosemarie, the Child Wonder. Okay, so I knew Danny from that and from working at the Martinique. And when he came out here, he did a couple of television shows, and my husband was on the show, you know. And Danny said hello and all this and all that. So they would come to see me in Vegas, Sheldon and his wife, Danny and his wife. And then I'd go over to the table after the show and I'd say, "How'd you like it?" And Sheldon said, "Don't you ever bomb? Don't you ever die on stage?" I said, "Not if I can help it." I said, "When am I going to do your show, Danny? You're doing Make Room for Daddy. You give everybody a guest shot. You don't give me a guest shot." "Your time will come. Don't worry, your time will come." "Yeah, sure." He'd call me for benefits. He'd call me for this. And I would do them all. And then, "When am I going to do your show?" You know. So I get a call one day, and the voice says, "They want you over at the Desilu, see Danny Thomas." I said, "Oh, God, I got the guest shot." She says, "No, this is for a new show called The Dick Van Dyke Show." I said, "What's a Dick Van Dyke?"
That's all we've got time for today. Next time, Rosemarie talks about the Dick Van Dyke Show, her relationship with Mary Tyler Moore, her favorite episodes, and what happened when the Dick Van Dyke Show came to its conclusion. Plus, a surprise guest stops by to say hi. I'm David Levin. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Ouch! Oh.